the simplicity of just breathing. And this is how he attained to the jhana in the first place. So rather than this complication to understand these 4 stages of samadhi, the 4 stages of rupa jhana, the 4 stages of arupa jhana, the abhidharma, if you equate to meditation and the jhana as, say, one aspect we can relate to of seeing. We see, don't we? This is an analogy. So don't take this literally. But let me explain jhana to you, how it really does manifest itself. Because when we sit in meditation, when we go into the first jhana, second, third and fourth, there's no ping, you're there like a lift arriving at floor 1. This is jhana level 1, mind the gap, level 2. It's not like that. It's more like, if you equate this to seeing, you're looking at a light in front of you, a dim light. And whilst you're looking at this dim light, you can see everything around you to distract you quite clearly. It's just you see everything. As the light slowly gets brighter, gradually the brightness of the light increases, the less you can see around you to distract you, until it gets so bright all you can see is the light. Now all that's going on behind the light and around it is still there, but all you are focused on is the light. Now, you're not seeing, you're not hearing, you're not smelling, you're not tasting, you're not touching, you're not thinking even in the 4th jhana. This is just an example of how jhana, deeply absorbed meditation and focus on a meditation object, leads you to seclusion from the hindrances of sensual desire, will, tiredness, restlessness and worry, and doubt. None of these obstacles are in the way of you enjoying your meditation, of you regenerating your body and your thinking brain. And the Buddha taught us this requires a middle path. And this is what he taught in this first Dharma talk to these first disciples there to hear this about, in the deer park there in Sarnath. If you can go there, it's a wonderful place to sit and meditate, and you'll see people in all different manner of dress, robes, different colours, lay people, nuns, monks of all kinds, circumambulating the huge stupa there, throwing scarves and things up it and all over it. It's an incredible atmosphere and a wonderful place to go and experience. But you don't have to go there, because this was just the location where the Buddha taught, like the location where the Buddha was enlightened. They happened to be places he was passing through on his wanderings. Where you need to go is wherever you can, in your own home or at the bus stop, and that is inside, where you can experience for yourself the true awakening of getting right view. It is so important, and this is why number 1 of the Noble Eightfold Path, right view, is in its way, in its own way, exclusive. Because right intention and right speech, which is difficult, right action and right livelihood are to do with sila, moral virtue, those 4. Then right effort, right mindfulness and right meditation are meditation, to do with meditation. 3. Right view, number 1, is panya, wisdom. And we have to understand that right view contains a number of things, but primarily even that, as are most of the Buddha's teachings, not as complicated as we have the tendency towards making them sound, seem, with language and speech. We must know not just the words, but understand unequivocally, without doubt, the Four Noble Truths. Only in as far as that we understand there is suffering. All beings find this life to some degree, to some extent, unsatisfactory. This is suffering, dukkha. And the confidence in the Buddha's teachings of this path that there can be an end of this suffering if we can identify its cause. So these Four Noble Truths, suffering, cause, and end of suffering, can be realized through this practice of this Noble Eightfold Path. As you see, it's a circular thing. We need to practice in order to get the wisdom. Now, when the Buddha was asked about teaching, well, this teacher says this, another teacher says that, he said, it doesn't matter. Even what I say, referring to himself, even what the Buddha says, he says to be experienced by the wise and understood by yourself. Don't take it, believe it, go and try it for yourself, experiencing it. So as a teacher, even the Buddha wasn't saying, I am right, everyone else is wrong. He was saying, well, see for yourself. And of course, many subsequently have become arahants and attained to full enlightenment. And how? By following this Noble Eightfold Path. But you see, it gets a bit boring, doesn't it? People write these long questions about this sutta, that sutta. Where can I find a reference to such and such in the sutta of that particular book? And it goes on. Someone I began to say in a talk the other day and didn't finish because I had cat distractions. Incidentally, she's very well, but found a new little home on a high up place where she sleeps whilst it's raining. I can see her now, not biting. But after this long talk about this question, that question, I frankly didn't have a clue as to the answer or even what specifically the question was. But I listened and was trying, and I thought, well, we'll go back to basics. And I said, well, how long have you meditated for? This, just today? Oh, I haven't meditated today, he said. Oh, okay, well, this week, how's it? No, he said, I haven't meditated since last time I've seen you because of this and because of... I said, hold on, sorry, you haven't meditated since, what, 3 months? Because I hadn't seen him for 3 months. No, I've got all this to do. And I said, well, come on. Why was he wanting to talk for half an hour about some difference between one text and another and all of these words, when he wasn't practicing simply what the Buddha teaches us when setting this wheel in motion? And that is the Noble Eightfold Path, Samma Samadhi, or the jhanas, enjoying jhanas. It's not even a thing you have to go and do. It's not like going to the gym or going running where you might have to just push yourself to go and do it. It should be something you really want to do because it's so nice, so enjoyable. I've just got to meditate. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to go running. I don't want to go to that restaurant because I can just sit here and do nothing at all. And if you don't understand anything about Buddhist philosophy, religion, Pali, Sanskrit, Theravada, Mahayana, maybe you don't even know what Buddhism is, or even maybe you don't care. Surely, isn't it nice to just be in peace for a moment or two on your own with nothing other than this present moment where there is really no problems, no worries, and less suffering, until attaining jhanas, where you can get a glimpse of freedom from suffering momentarily, but enough to have been seen so that it cannot be unseen, to be experienced so that it cannot be unexperienced. You know. This is the knowledge of knowing we're referring to in right view. Knowing the Four Noble Truths, knowing karma, that all of our actions of body, speech and mind are the causes and conditions that will result in the next moment. And what we are, as a result, vipaka, the results of karma, karma vipaka, of our previous karma. The actions of our body, speech and mind, the causes and conditions we've put in place previously are what we are now. But we don't go back to the past, we cannot. We cannot change that any more than we can do anything about the future. If we indeed have a future, we cannot know that. All we can know, keeping here within the parameters of right view, is this present moment, here and now. This is what we do know, what we are knowing. And this knowing is samasati, right mindfulness. Knowing this present moment, here and now, not the past, worrying about that, not being restless about what next or expectations. We remove expectations. We don't worry about what next. It is here and now we find this word that gets confused with samadhi, samatha, which is peace and tranquility and calmness of mind, whereas samadhi is the focus of the mind. The mind I'm referring to here is our thinking brain's mind within these 5 khandhas. 5 aspects, aggregates of what make up these physical bodies, yes, and thinking brains. In addition to that, there's consciousness from our thinking brains of all we see, hear, smell, taste, touch, feel and think about. There's awareness, there's consciousness. There's also within these thinking brains the ability to learn, to acquire, to develop knowledge. This is another desire, form of desire. And as I've spoken of many times in previous talks, we know desire is the second noble truths, the cause of suffering. The desire to have what we cannot have, or not to have what we have. For something to be different than the way it is. But in the present moment, here and now, everything is as it is, just that. There's no variation on that. Knowing it as it is mindfulness, sama sati, right. Thinking you can change it otherwise, or how it was or how it will be, is not right mindfulness. So samasati is knowing everything as it is, truly is, here and now, in the present moment. And with that, we can keep our attention on a meditation object, developing sama samadhi. So that bright light gets brighter, obliterating all else. But this could be referring to a sound, could be referring to a smell, to a taste, to a feeling, or to a thought. So our knowledge, our attention, our awareness of the breath will occupy all of our mind space, making our minds full, mindful of the breath. Anapanasati means mindfulness of the breath. The Anapanasati Sutta is where the Buddha teaches us how to do this. Again, really simple. You translate it from the Pali into your own language. Don't worry about other ideas. Just the basic sutta itself is enough. They're quite long, but they're repetitive. It's just repeating the same over and over again. And there's really no questioning what is said if you read it and take it literally. These particular core sequence of suttas, that is. There are obviously some other additions that come as a result of cultural influences, religions, changes, geographical transitions, and all of this historic argument, commentaries that come much later on, that create all of the room for what is an unwholesome but debate generally. If you want to get down to the bare bones, lowest common denominator, rawest ingredients, how you do it right, what is it made of, you need to just look at these basic teachings. Now this is the very most basic of Buddhist philosophy, Buddhist teachings, Dharma, basic of Dharma. It is also the most complex because it's how we get to the end result. The rest is just additional sauce, seasoning. Take it if you want it. Take it if you like it, or leave it. Take it or leave it. But if you really want to taste what's on the menu, stripping away the fancy titles, you really want to taste the ingredients, you need to break it down into its components. And this setting the wheel in motion on this Asala Puja day is what the Buddha was doing in that first and the Dharma talk to really end all Dharma talks. Only out of compassion did he then go on for 45 years to continue teaching this same thing over 184th or 84,000 times over, but in different forms, different stories to suit different audiences. This Dhammacakka Sutta, like the elephant's footprint, containing all of the other smaller creatures, their footprints within it, covers it all. This is why it's significant. This is why it's important. And this is what we have to know this is wisdom. This is right view. That's karma. We also have to understand that we aren't what we think we are.